Now imagine the inside of that tent. Darkness, canvas walls shaking from artillery impacts, blood running across the floorboards, men screaming for morphine, and somewhere outside in the black Pacific night, thousands of Japanese soldiers charging directly toward the American line. On the morning of July 7, 1944, Captain Ben L. Salomon was working inside a small aid station near Tanapag on the island of Saipan. Within minutes, the largest Banzai charge of the entire Pacific War would smash directly into his position. Salomon was not supposed to die behind a machine gun. He was a dentist. He had graduated from the University of Southern California School of Dentistry in 1937 and originally wanted to become an infantry officer. But before the war, both the American and Canadian militaries rejected him. When he was finally drafted in 1940, the Army immediately discovered something unusual about him. He qualified expert with rifle and pistol. He became a machine gun instructor. His commanders later described him as one of the best all-around soldiers in the regiment. Then the Army looked at his civilian profession. Dental school. Everything changed. Instead of remaining infantry, Salomon was transferred into the Dental Corps and commissioned as a medical officer. He accepted the order, but he never stopped training like a combat soldier. Field exercises, physical competitions, weapons drills, tactical movement. Nobody understood yet why that mattered. Then came Saipan. In June 1944, the U.S. 27th Infantry Division landed on the island during one of the bloodiest operations of the Pacific Theater. The island mattered because American B-29 bombers could finally strike the Japanese home islands from its airfields. The Japanese defended it like a fortress. Machine gun nests hidden in rock formations. Mortars zeroed onto landing zones. Artillery hidden inside caves. By early July, Japanese resistance had collapsed into the northern section of the island. Lieutenant General Yoshitsugu Saito understood the battle was over. Reinforcements would never arrive. So Saito chose annihilation. During the night of July 6th, he ordered a final mass assault against American lines. Not just soldiers, wounded men, medical personnel, civilians armed with bamboo spears. At approximately 4:45 in the morning, American soldiers heard screaming emerging from the darkness. Then they saw the wave. Thousands of Japanese troops charging directly into the positions of the U.S. 105th Infantry Regiment. The American line broke in several places almost immediately. Salomon's aid station stood only meters behind the foxholes. Within minutes, wounded men flooded into the tent. Gunshot wounds, bayonet wounds, shrapnel wounds. Men barely conscious. Salomon worked continuously while rifle fire moved closer and closer to the canvas walls. Then the battle entered the tent itself. Japanese soldiers burst directly into the aid station, right between wounded Americans lying helpless on stretchers. Survivors later reported that Salomon grabbed a rifle and killed the first attacker inside the station. More followed. The fight became hand-to-hand combat inside a medical tent, soaked in blood. Then Salomon realized something terrifying. The position could not hold. Every wounded man inside the tent would soon be killed. So Salomon gave an order. Every wounded soldier still capable of movement was to evacuate immediately toward the rear. Many survived because of that decision, but Salomon did not leave with them. Behind the aid station stood an abandoned machine gun position beside several dead American soldiers. Next to them sat an M1917 Browning heavy machine gun. Water-cooled, belt-fed, designed for sustained defensive fire. Normally, a crew operated it. Salomon operated it alone. Around him, the battlefield had collapsed into chaos. Japanese troops pushed through shattered American lines, while isolated defenders fought from shell craters and ruined foxholes. Salomon dragged the Browning into position, fed the ammunition belt into the receiver, and waited. Then the machine gun opened fire. What followed became one of the most extraordinary last stands of the Pacific War. Japanese soldiers charged directly into his field of fire. Salomon fired controlled bursts. 3 rounds, pause, traverse left. 3 more rounds. The Browning hammered through the darkness while bodies piled in front of the position. Witnesses later reported hearing Salomon's machine gun continue firing long after surrounding American positions had already fallen silent. At one point, already severely wounded, he repositioned the heavy machine gun by himself, just to maintain a better field of fire against advancing Japanese troops. Alone, bleeding, still firing. The Banzai charge of July 7th became the largest mass assault of the Pacific Campaign. Hundreds of Americans died. Entire companies ceased functioning as organized units. Hours later, American forces retook the area around Salomon's position. What they found shocked even combat veterans. Salomon's body remained behind the Browning machine gun. His hands were still on the weapon. Around him lay dead Japanese soldiers, dozens of them. Army historian Captain Edmund G. Love later documented the scene. The official battlefield investigation estimated nearly 100 enemy dead directly in front of Salomon's position. The condition of his body was horrifying. Dozens of bullet wounds, bayonet injuries. Evidence showed he had continued fighting after being hit repeatedly. But one fact mattered more than anything else. The wounded men he ordered to evacuate survived. The Army immediately recognized the scale of what had happened. Recommendations for the Medal of Honor were submitted almost immediately after the battle. Then the process stopped, because of one problem. The Geneva Convention. Medical personnel were officially protected non-combatants. Salomon was classified as a medical officer, and he had operated a crew-served heavy machine gun in direct combat. Under the interpretation of military law at the time, the recommendation was denied. So the story disappeared into military bureaucracy. Years passed, then decades. Historians, veterans, former officers, and faculty members at USC repeatedly tried reopening the case. Over time, legal interpretations changed. Military lawyers increasingly agreed that medical personnel retained the right to defend themselves and their wounded under direct assault. Still, recognition never came. Until the late 1990s. Wartime reports, eyewitness testimony, and battlefield investigations from Saipan were examined again. The conclusion was unavoidable. What happened on July 7, 1944, met every standard for the Medal of Honor. In 2002, nearly 58 years after his death, President George W. Bush awarded Captain Ben L. Salomon the Medal of Honor posthumously. But the reason his story survived has very little to do with medals. It survived because of what happened inside that tent. A dentist who wanted to become an infantryman. A man forced by the Army into medicine. On Saipan, both halves of his life collided. For hours, he treated wounded Americans with his hands. Then he defended them with a machine gun until he died behind it. And almost 60 years later, the United States finally admitted what the survivors already knew in 1944. Captain Ben L. Salomon never abandoned his patients. He stayed until the very last round.